In accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act of the State of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting of the Franklin Township Environmental Commission was made by posting on the bulletin board in the municipal building, posted on the Township's website, and electronically submitted to the officially designated newspapers indicating that this meeting will take place at the municipal complex on Monday, June 5th. So we do a roll call. And I have a sheet for the roll call. Aha. Kevin will borrow a pencil. Walter Andrews? Here. Okay. Ted Chase? Here. Easy's not here. Jessica's not here. Stan?
Here.
Laurel Schmidt?
Here.
Robin?
Here.
Maria?
Here.
Me? Ted Tara's here, and Ed's not here. Is he coming, do you know?
I haven't heard from him.
Okay, we'll see what happens. Okay. So that takes care of the roll call, and I have a very short report. I want to bring you up to date on a couple things. In contrast to last meeting's opening remarks, the committee to develop a sustainability element to the master plan did actually meet this morning with Mark Healy. And I'll talk about that when we get to the committee reports. It was a good meeting. Separate from that subject, Mark and I did have a conversation about our need to know what changes were made when an applicant revises their proposal, based on comments from the planning board and the TRC. Mark understood. I told him that it was just, we were lost to know what to look at. And he said, maybe we'll get the TRC report and a copy of the applicant's responses. I saw that in one recently, and it was like 7 pages. They went each thing, and we were in that, and we're running over, and the applicant said, yes, we can do this, or they made some comments, that kind of thing. So you know exactly where we're going.
Some do, some don't.
Some don't, then yeah, but if we get the TRC report, we can get an idea what the comments were, we know what to look for, and if the opposite pertains to us.
Right.
So, also, I should say, I had about 2 hours Saturday afternoon with the mayor. We were canvassing neighborhood for him, not part of the Environmental Commission. One of the things he touched on was our submission of proposed ordinances and resolutions. He suggested that when we were considering this stuff, they'd really like to have bullet points instead of all the whereas text. But that's the mayor. So and then we have the attorney draft the ordinance. So it was a double work. He's trying to save us some work, but he's also not leaving us to, just a suggestion.
That's what he wanted us to do with the plastic, the plastic one. Also, he didn't want us to write a whole ordinance. He wanted bullet points.
We talked about a lot of other stuff, but this came out during our tour. We take it for what it's worth. Okay. So we did that. Next is the approval of the minutes from May 15th.
Move to approve.
Second. Okay. Any comments, changes, editing? Arnold, anything?
I was not at the
Oh, you
meeting,
were
so I
not.
was abstaining.
Okay.
I'm abstaining too.
Okay.
I wasn't either.
So we'll ask for motion to accept the minutes.
I move that we accept the minutes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. That was good. That was, it's been accepted. Now, normally in the agenda, we open the floor to public comments.
I move that we open the meeting to the public.
We need that motion first.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody want to make a comment while they're here? Or?
After the meeting last
Your
month,
name.
I drove by the Agilex complex.
Right. Oh, yes.
Is there an update on that today?
We submitted the comments, and I didn't get anything back. I mean, we did send a memo out, right?
I did, yes. So I submitted it to Mark Healy for the planning board, and he said that at the time when the application came in, it went to the TRC because it met the requirements, and all that was actually really being reviewed at the time for that application was like a concrete pad. That's really all it was. So that's why it went through, and so they have our comments, they've noted them, but the approvals have already been done. So that was where we left off, yeah. So they have them, they've noted them, you know. DEP will look at, you know, whatever they have to look at in terms of any emissions or venting that's done, but in terms of what the township could look at and review and offer approvals for, that's what was done.
And not having been here, I apologize, but is there a lesson in here to us to have an ordinance that would propose perhaps creating an ordinance that would tighten things up like this, so people couldn't be stuck in this position going forward?
This is just the first time I know that anything like this has been proposed in town.
Well,
It may not be the last.
Our ordinance does say that any development under 5,000 square feet, I believe it is,
Yeah.
that the TRC can just review it, the technical review committee, because we get so many applications instead of everything going. There is a clause in there, and we noted that in our memo, that says unless there is like a proven, or unless there appears to be a potential threat to health or environmental. But the problem was that the application was literally, that came to the TRC, was to basically put up this concrete pad in.
Not about the already
Right.
existing conditions.
Right.
But
So
maybe
that's
we
what
want
we
to
saw.
prevent those existing conditions from happening again in another
Yeah.
place.
So are they gonna send another proposal about putting in the oxidizer?
I think they have to.
They don't have
They have to get a permit from the state.
Right, I understand.
Yeah.
That could be used to inspect.
Right.
But in terms of the, you know, anything that Franklin Township would have to approve, no.
It's done.
It's done, yeah, and it's been done apparently for quite a while, for many months. I think the approval was done back in,
Yes, but it was related to the concrete pad.
Well, it was up for the stack.
yeah, it was like last year. So what was the man's name? Mr. Brook? Well, so when he came and presented to us, I don't know if he knew or did not know that that approval was already done. I'm assuming that he did and would have had the letter that's from Franklin Township that said, you know, we don't have any reason to not approve this, so
Right.
here you go. The thing I think that sparked it was the permit application to DEP. So
Right.
DEP is the one that has the authority to regulate that, so that's, I think, where it is right now.
Does Somerset County have its own air person like?
Somerset County does have people, that's a big part of what they do, is respond to complaints.
Yeah.
I know that there have been a lot of violations written against the company. I'm not sure if they're having to do with complaints having been observed on this, you know, odors coming to the complainant's properties, or if they're permit violations, but there have been many violations written against them, you know, before this new equipment is installed. Supposedly the new equipment is supposed to alleviate the odors, but that is yet to be seen. But I also know that there's a noise issue, potential noise issue, and again, that's something that it's yet to be seen if this thermal oxidizer is going to make more noise than the equipment that's there now.
I thought they said there were chemicals that come out of that process as well.
Oh, I'm sure there are, but the thermal oxidizer is supposed to burn it off. I mean, I assume you're one of the people that lives over there or
No,
in your area?
not even close, but we
Oh,
drove
okay.
by there.
Okay.
We're just interested in.
Yeah, curious. I thought it was interesting, there's a lot of warehouses there. And none of them.
Here in Franklin, warehouse?
I'm new here, so I can still act with surprise.
It's just a very industrial area.
It's a very industrial area, we saw the
Where
doctor's
the
house,
Agilex
we
is.
saw the other houses, we saw the Christmas tree area, there's like 4 or 5 houses there. So,
You said we are new, we have a tradition that people introduce themselves.
oh, hi, Richard, Nathan, the Barnes Funny Gunther Lou.
It's actually not a tradition, it's a requirement.
I just made that
In open public session, you're supposed to give your name and address for the
up.
record.
It's only our second time here,
Thanks for
so now we'll go the next time.
Okay.
Terry Thorson, 18 Head Drive. In reference to Agilex, I testified at the DEP hearing that they had back, it was cold, so it was sometime like last winter. And because I was there, I put my email address down, they sent me their decision, and the decision was that they passed it. Now, one of the problems was not just the thermal oxidizer, but there are some chemicals that they can't pass through that. So the place went through filters, but there was no plan for getting rid of the filters after they had taken these chemicals out. But the DEP passed it anyway.
So, I mean, it's like a nuclear reactor getting rid of the waste from that, what do you do with it?
Yeah.
It might not have any impact on the immediate area, but if they've got this waste on site, they have to find a place to get rid of it, but it's not necessarily going to impact the outside
We just
air.
give it to somebody else.
Yeah, give it to somebody else, out of New Jersey. Since everybody else seems to give us their waste.
I just wonder though, if somebody else tries to build another facility like that, is there any way we can have some controls over that? So that we could say that's too much for our town, don't build that here.
It's, the only way we'd know at this point is if we got a notice from the TRC that maybe we want to look at this thing.
Yeah, but the next one.
The next one.
It can be something about emissions,
Yeah.
that whatever, and I apologize again that I wasn't there, but whatever these emissions are that are creating all these problems for people, can we set the bar lower so that we can't invite that kind of thing to come into town again?
We can look at that.
Yeah, and I don't know who would help us with that. Is that something that Mark would handle? But how do we prevent the next one?
Well, we have to do it based on the type of development or, like for example, now we have like the square footage, which can bring them to TRC,
Right.
only because we don't regulate the air emissions, so we would have to find something that would trigger, or starting out 5,000 square feet or less,
Right.
so maybe it's,
But why can't we regulate the air emissions? We haven't written it,
Because
right?
we've had it in the state.
Well, what I was just going to say is, people find out about these things because they live, other than
Right.
the odors, but they find out about these things, that this is going to occur because they live within 200 feet. A major, most problems that have to do with air pollution or noise have to do with location, because of at some point you've got a property that's zoned up to here for manufacturing, and then there's something else here, in this case it's residential. So maybe there's a way for us to say something that anytime something is going to be built within 200 feet of residential,
Yeah.
then it should be more than just a TRC
right.
that reviews it, regardless of what
Right.
it is.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
That would be basically amending that part of the ordinance to say anything that's under 5,000 square feet can go to the TRC, and it already says unless there's the potential for, negative impact to health or whatever, or it's located within 200 feet of an existing residential facility, and it's like, or just leave it at that, or we could say, and it's industrial in nature, manufacturing in nature, something like that.
Yeah, I like
Well,
that. I like
perhaps
that.
Yeah.
Perhaps the TRC should be required to get an opinion from the county about
Air emission.
their emission.
But,
Well, it would be the county and the state, because it's,
Yeah.
like I said, there have been many violations written against this company, but whether they were violations written by the state because of permit violations, or by the county because they responded to odor complaints and wrote subchapter 5 violations, which are odor violations. So, we want to get something from both the county and the state.
Yeah.
Well, how do we go about doing that?
So the first thing would be to talk to Mark, and because we have to amend that part of the ordinance to include that language,
Yes.
which gives the TRC,
Some more teeth.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
yeah.
I'd like to see us pursue that.
Well, we're in good stead with Mark. We had a good meeting this morning, and
Yeah, I
we
think
can add that to.
if Tara wrote him a memo from us,
Yeah.
that we'd like to
We'll do
know
that.
how the township could proceed
Yeah.
to amend the ordinance.
Okay, then if there's no other comment from the public, I'll take a motion to close the public.
Motion to close the meeting.
Second. All in favor? Okay, then we move into building plans. Oh, correspondence. I don't have any letters, I don't know, did anybody get any emails?
I did not. and Jessica couldn't be here tonight, so I
Right.
didn't. I don't know if anyone else did, but,
I don't have any letters, there were no letters in the mailbox.
okay.
With respect to plans, I want to note that Wednesday, the planning board will hear the Bold Lots Realty application. This is the one that proposes a green roof on a warehouse.
Oh, yes.
You're finally hearing that?
They're hearing that, after
Wednesday.
3 submissions. Yeah.
Okay.
If
You think
that's,
it's complete? Is it done? Ready to go?
Well, apparently, see, I think the Canal Commission beat them up after the second set of, reviewed the second set, because the third set has substantial, actually, they're being required for a conservation easement on part of the property, and that to do a lot of planting, actually instead of the smaller detention basin.
Good.
So,
And as far as you know, the green roof is still intact?
yes. But I certainly want to ask about, what they're proposing to plan.
You're right.
if that goes through, that's our, that, we
Our
thought that.
poster child.
Yeah, that was for, that would be
Well,
the
if I can,
environmental.
I'd like to
treatment
come
work.
on Wednesday.
I was wanting to encourage you to.
I will make a point of it.
Okay.
I'll see where it is on the agenda.
So that,
Yeah, the first thing on the agenda is something they should have heard at the last meeting, but the first thing on that agenda took until 9:45, so they
was the
postponed.
B9, the B9.
Oh, it was the EWA something, it's the warehouses replacing 400 and 600 Atrium Drive.
Oh, right.
And I think they're taking down more trees than they need to or should.
So that B9 is, when is B9? That's
The 21st.
the 24, oh, this is the one before, okay.
Yeah. B9 is the 21st, and it'll be at Consolata again.
Right, because there's going to be a big crowd again.
Is it the Saloti family that's developing this, or is it somebody else?
I think somebody else is developing it, is Bold Lots Realty is the applicant.
Do you think that the public will actually get to speak at the B9 planning board meeting?
That's first on the agenda, I think, because that's where we were up to. And it's the, Howard told me, Howard, the attorney for,
I think they still
Yeah, do
have to
that.
have the planner speak.
yeah, they might not have finished.
Because last time they just got through the landscape architect
They
and
get through it.
the traffic person, I
Right.
think,
Yeah.
The planner still needs to speak, and maybe like the stormwater person.
But then they had open public meeting.
Right.
Open public.
Which they didn't do.
Which they did, but then they had that attorney
Right.
speak, Lieberman, I believe.
Oh, that's,
And
yeah.
he took up the final half an hour.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah, well, there's a rule that says that if residents are represented by an attorney, then only the attorney can speak. And of course, the Canal Walk attorney
Right.
missed that meeting and will miss the 21st
Yeah, he's
meeting.
been out of the country these 2 times, but he's got somebody's going to take his place at this meeting.
Okay, good.
the now walk attorney is going to speak and not give anybody else from the public the opportunity to speak.
Well, somebody like you will sooner or later be permitted to speak.
Yeah.
You're not
I
represented
mean,
by an
you keep going to
attorney.
meetings and they just keep letting the attorney speak and nobody from the public gets to speak. And you end up
That's the hard part.
wasting your
because,
time
yeah.
going to the meeting.
Yeah.
So, you're on the planning board, it would be nice to have an opportunity to let real people rather than just attorneys.
That is-
There's so many attorneys out here.
That's the hard part about when a group comes and they're represented by an attorney, because if they're on record, they have to speak
No, I
before the public.
understand.
So it's,
But I also saw that the next meeting was expanded, 10 to 10:30. I mean, you guys hope you can stay awake for that.
There'll be a couple hundred people at the meeting.
Open.
You'll get it. Well,
I can speak to you.
so, on the plans, there's two plans. This one, if we want to open it, we don't have to. It's Odin Pharmaceuticals. We had done a review of what they were already doing and approved it, and that's going, they're doing the construction. What they did now is add to that with another addition to the building, which is two 12,000 square foot floors, first floor and second floor, 12,000 square feet each, attached to the modified one. So there's not much there. I did the report.
I have it, I'm just putting the site
Okay.
plans up real quick,
Yeah.
and then we'll...
And it's on 300 Franklin Square Drive, which is the corner of Franklin Square Drive and Davidson. And they've been expanding the building bit by bit. Franklin Square Drive is where I worked for 18 years.
That doesn't tell me.
Phillips Lighting it's a cul-de-sac.
It's off of Davidson.
And
Davidson,
yes,
it's a long road.
Well, it's across from...
Down there, Easton Avenue on the left, it's
Yeah,
heading east.
and it's across from...
Right, it was right before Roto.
Yes.
Oh, it was before the Holiday Inn, which isn't there anymore. It was across from, what's the restaurant that's there? Ruby Tuesday.
Okay.
It's across from there.
Okay, I know what you're talking about, yeah. Closer to Pierce Street.
The 200 Franklin Square Drive is a four-story office building that's completely empty. That's where I worked from 87 to 2005.
I have it up here on the
Okay,
screen, this is
good.
the site plan.
Yeah. And then the thing at the top, the gray area at the top, that's the existing plan. It's just, it's this part here. 12,000 square foot, two-story, and it's a developed area. They did talk about 176 parking spaces, so I put in about EV charge, because there was no mention of EV chargers.
Are they taking down trees or what are they?
Just a few. It's not, it was parking lot.
Oh, it's parking lot?
Yeah, it's listed.
12,000 square foot addition it is,
Yeah.
two-story addition to the existing building. Or is that right?
Yeah.
Anything about a green roof or solar panels or anything like that?
They're under 100,000 square feet, at least on the addition. The surface is only 12,000. So they wouldn't be required to do.
So we can make the recommendation.
I did.
Yeah.
Was the total going to be over, I don't know, 100,000?
Let's see what it says. Make this a little bigger.
Hold
I
on.
think it is 240,000 square feet.
It's a 12,000 square foot addition onto, yeah, so it's gonna be,
It'll be 254,000 square feet. which is
No. So the 246,000 would have been required already, unless their application was
Right.
approved before the law went into effect, which was last July 1st.
Yeah, that building has been there for quite a while.
yeah, so it's just the
Okay,
addition.
I mean, it was right when I was working it, and they came in and, did some renovations. But the building was built in probably the late 80s or, or late 70s. Because our building was built in 86.
So what was recently approved?
So that's what they're asking, so it's for the zoning variant, they need a variance
Right.
from zoning. It says they're gonna construct the 12,000 square feet per floor, so it's a total of 24,000
Yeah.
square feet, the existing mixed-use warehouse, 176 parking spaces, three full movement driveways up on Franklin Square. I'm just trying to see exactly what they need these variances
I mean, it's not part of the warehouse.
So it's an addition to a building, but the building is not new.
No, the building is old.
Okay.
The building is old.
I hate to say it's old. Yeah, that's terrible. But
Here's the ordinance, here's the variances. So they're looking for a variance from the minimum front yard setback.
Oh,
So
setbacks, yeah.
they're going to be 46.4 feet front yard setback and it requires 50. This is what we're always interested in, is how much over the impervious
Impervious
coverage.
coverage.
So they're having 74.5% impervious coverage.
That's a
over 50%.
25% over.
Yeah.
So we
I didn't hear
have,
what you said, it was,
it's 74.5% impervious coverage proposed, and the zone only allows for 60%. So there's 14.5% over So we do a blurb that we use that basically says, you're over the maximum impervious coverage by this month, this much, and we recommend green infrastructure, plantings, things like that.
Strongly recommend, that's a huge difference.
I mean, that's a 25% increase over what's permitted, and a green roof would help with the absorption.
So the other question is, what was it before? I mean, the requirement is 60, were they already at 65? I don't know.
Well, if there was a parking lot previously,
It's probably is everywhere.
yeah,
It's not adding that much to where they were.
But we don't know.
That's the problem when you get additional
Right.
stuff. Just
Well, we can
what-
figure out what they were before, so we have the total existing floor area.
Right.
Well, previous coverage would include the parking lot.
Parking,
Yeah.
If they're building on the parking lot, they
Right.
already were at 75%.
That's the thing.
That's
To be a good neighbor, put in a green roof.
Right. What else? So they also are requesting a variance from the height. I'm sorry.
excuse me, if we just go back and say, this building was built back in the 80s, you said, originally?
Yeah.
So back in the 80s, is it possible that the impervious coverage
Wasn't even-
requirement
wasn't
was
required.
different
Yeah.
back
No, they
then?
probably didn't even have a requirement.
Yeah.
They probably didn't have one,
Yeah.
so at that time.
This is 200 Franklin Square Drive, opened in 86.
Right, so the point is, back then, they were at 76%, they could have impervious or whatever,
Right.
but there was nobody looking at that back then.
Good point.
It was Cowboys and Indians.
Oh, here it is. They gave us an exhibit.
Cowboys and Indians.
They gave us an exhibit. So it says, the impervious increase is 4% from what was previously approved and will be appropriately dealt with by stormwater management. Now, I don't know what previously approved means, but apparently they're 4% over what they were allowed. So they got an allowance for 70%.
When they did the other, when they did the other.
So they got approval for 70.5%.
And Franklin Square Drive is about, what, 300 yards from where, during Ida, when we drove down Davidson Avenue,
Right.
and we got to Easton, and of course, we couldn't get within 100 yards of Easton because the water was this high.
Well, there's a stream in the back. running through it.
But
Yeah.
right there, so
I think we should not
a
be
green
allowing.
roof will help.
When they say by stormwater management, do they explain how it
It's a
looks like?
basic, it's a.
They will in the site plan, so yeah, so basically they'll show, what type of, are they doing a, green infrastructure, are they doing a regular detention and retention basin? So I have to look and see what it is they're
I
doing.
think I made a comment, something about it.
Okay, no, I just wondered because
I
they,
think we should not allow it. I
Let's see.
mean, what we can say, right?
In the front.
That's lighting, hold on.
I would suggest that we just
This is
decline
the tree,
it.
okay, this is the plantings, because that's the other,
Yeah.
let's look at this
We
wall
can
here.
suggest decline.
Okay.
That's all
That's
we
okay.
can. As opposed to trying to make concession with suggestion.
Landscaping, so they're saying that 47 trees are required and 53 are proposed.
So they're planting more trees than they're taking down.
So that's in terms of the trees.
Yeah, but was that based on the equation that they
Yes,
used
yeah,
for
yeah.
small trees versus large
Yes,
trees?
it is,
all right?
yeah.
And then this is what they're planting, so, let's see.
There's no white pines there.
Are there trees?
Yeah, shade trees, ornamentals, and evergreens.
All right.
Evergreens, there's some, but
Cypress,
Japanese
cedars.
here.
And the
8 to
cherry.
10 feet, yeah.
Yeah.
Shade trees, there's one, right?
Japanese
What? No,
cedar?
There's
five.
9.
Not,
But
not-
Princeton Century, what is that?
Princeton Century brand, do you know what this is, Ted? This type of tree, ginkgo, biloba.
Oh, it's
Princeton.
ginkgo? Okay,
It's a
that's all
beautiful
right.
tree.
Then you have the ornamental trees, which are the golden rain tree and the sergeant cherry tree.
Is the ginkgo the kind of tree that drops a lot of
Yeah, yeah.
It has to be,
funny stuff in
it has
around?
to be male.
Yes,
It has to be male.
Let me just check something.
And you like carbon monoxide.
Because
Let me
it
check
will-
something
it's
real
a female
quick here.
and male, and female has nuts, and it smells like a
Yeah, it smells terrible.
vomit.
yeah, yes, it's only the.
So this is the list that Shade Tree provided us in terms of their recommendation. We should look at
If it was
this.
on a street
So-
street, you don't want it.
What was the tree? Oh my gosh, I got.
Ginkgo?
Ginkgo, okay. I don't know if I can search this.
That is on the list. It's certainly not native. It's native to China.
Planting it on, if it's on the list, planting it on private properties.
Ginkgo, oh yeah, Princeton Century, that's on here.
It is.
So
Okay.
Princeton Century, that's okay. And then, what was the other one? I can look at the bigger one.
There was cypress tree.
Golden Rain Tree,
Cherry-
Leyland Cypress.
Cypress and cherry.
Let's try that.
It should be required to get the
Cypress
scientific
is looking Leyland. Okay, so that Leyland Cypress is not on here.
Okay.
But that's an evergreen, actually. This is the deciduous.
Right.
So let me look at the other one. The ornamental golden rain tree.
I know what that is, that's not native either, I'm sure, but look it up.
Golden chain tree. Golden weeping willow. That was it. So that's not on there. They did, yeah. But the shade trees list also has a common name. It's just easier to search that way. I guess I could.
Does the shade trees?
Yeah, but if they get, but they might use a different name.
Okay, I'll look
But
for
the
the scientific
scientific name
name.
is not going to get changed.
Oh, here's the Sergeant cherry tree that they were talking about. So
Yeah.
this is on here. Let me look at that Leyland cypress and see.
Cypress, so there,
X.
You-
You might just search
it's under your
for
back.
Leylandy.
it's right on the.
I see it,
on the-
yeah. I'm just trying to get the spelling. Leylandy.
No, it's not.
No. So that's not on there. So two of what they,
There was cypress.
no, no, on the site plan, yes, there is, but we're looking to see if it's on this, the shade, it won't be on this list anyway because it's an evergreen, but it's not here anyway, so.
The golden rain tree is an evergreen?
No, golden rain tree, I don't think is anything.
No, it's just, that wasn't on the list.
Is that the name of the tree, Golden Rain?
Yeah.
Well, this is Leyland's.
Planet Colada. Planet Colada. Okay, hang on.
Glasses to read. I just want to be sure that it's not a
Yeah.
favored host for spotted dragonflies.
No, I mean, that doesn't say, but,
Why don't we make a recommendation that they replace those that are not native, or with something that's on the list?
okay, so we put that here. Send.
The pine ginkgo, they have to be made, to keep the fruit messy. Even the leaves can be messy when they're wet, they're very slippery.
Yeah. All right, so we can get that, and then Paul has a report on it. Let me just bring it up in case there's anything else we missed.
And green roof. Because they're already over,
Yeah.
they were permitted before, doesn't make it a good thing now.
So we got 8 EV charging
Well,
stations.
that's what, but the, up at 8 then.
Yep. Trees were.
I rounded upwards.
Oh, the anti-idling signs.
Yeah, that right, there was no, that was on my comment.
Okay. Okay. New bioretention basin and manufactured devices have been proposed. So that's the
That's the wa-
stormwater
that's the-
management.
We're upgrading their.
Yeah, and there was two of these, they spelled out the name of it, and plus the basic.
Tara, even though our anti-idling ordinance that we proposed and we're hoping will get passed sometime in the end of this year by the council,
Right.
has the planning or zoning boards, I guess more the planning board, have they received the list of the places on different properties where we recommend that the signs be placed?
You mean like the generic, like we want it at the entrance, the exit?
The warehouse,
Yeah, so we've never sent them a list directly, but in all of our memos, we include that same language, exactly where the anti-idling signage, every fourth loading dock, the
Okay.
entrance, the exit, the offices. So, yeah, so the planning and zoning boards have seen that. So that's, I think that's all you, I think that's it for that one, Paul.
There wasn't really, I didn't see it here.
You're gonna add green roof?
Yes, I have that down, yep. Okay.
There, well, here, yeah, no items, but I did have that.
All right.
Okay.
All right, that's
So that takes care of uniform and sewer.
If anybody's seen, been down Davidson Avenue recently, that one hotel that they were knocking down, is now completely knocked down. You can see how, the one that's right next to Roto Cliff, you can see how far back that property goes. It's pretty deep property.
Okay, now, so that completes that one. The only other one that we have, and this is from 2 weeks, it came in last 2 weeks ago, L'Oreal, this is their third submittal on the same application. Planning board, oh, it goes back to 21, because it's PLN 21-0021. Maybe you can pull that up.
That one is that for the planning board or zoning?
Zoning,
Okay,
I think, let me look. No, it says PLN.
okay, I don't think that's up there, but let me just double check on the website.
It's on the list, I saw it.
It's on planning?
Yeah, it's down toward the bottom. On top. It may be the first one at the very top.
All right.
Although there's Frank, he kicked on, because it was,
All in or city?
there it is. That's it.
21,
Yeah.
okay. PLN
We did look at it, we don't.
21, and you said this is the third
It's the third submission.
resubmission?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, this is taking a while. Okay, there we go. All right. You know what, hang on, let me make sure this is the updated one and not...
Because we commented on this, and it doesn't
You
show.
did. Oh, updated materials, here we go. I don't know what the difference, let me look at the old, and we'll just see what they're doing.
Yeah. This is back on, no, wait, that's a street,
Okay, hang on. All right. The applicant proposes expansion of its existing manufacturing facility with an addition of 248,040 square feet and related parkways, driving, and landscaping.
As I remember, they had earlier said that they were planning expansion, but they were going to do it in several stages.
Yeah, let me get this, let me get our
Just a
report.
resubmission.
Let me get our report that we did last time.
Ted, is L'Oreal over by the sewage authority?
Yes, it's Commerce Drive.
Right.
It's at the end of Commerce Drive, it backs up on Dharma,
Yeah.
and then the Gary Court is nearby and is generally very interested in
This is a manufacturing facility, it's not a warehouse.
Here's the last report we did. So we did this April 7th, 2022, and we had said that they needed to have 13 EV make-ready parking spaces. We recommended the installation of pervious pavement in the additional parking areas and pedestrian areas. We wanted to know how stormwater runoff would affect Middle Bush Road. The installation of solar panels on the roof is recommended. 158 trees on site are proposed for removal. We recommend more trees be preserved on site and strongly encourage that all trees required be replanted on the site. And then we also recommended bike storage and anti-idling signs. So that's what we did in April. So maybe that can help us see what they did here. So let me,
This is L'Oreal.
yeah.
So, and it's a manufacturing plant.
Yeah.
Which means they're dealing with fragrances. Which
Well,
means they're dealing...
lipsticks or whatever, it doesn't have to be just fragrances, yeah.
Lipsticks have fragrances in them. Every product that a cosmetic company uses, just about, soap, whatever.
Right.
I used to work for a fragrance company, or a cosmetic company. But they have fragrances, so we have to be concerned about odors coming out of the place. And I'm wondering what kind of, like the thermal oxidizer, are they using any kind of equipment? Do they talk about anything like that in their application?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I don't remember seeing stuff in there. I mean,
I'll make a note of
it's
it.
an addition to the existing plan, so it's been there, again, it's been there a while.
Yeah, but I'm wondering if they're...
Yeah, if it's increased manufacturing space, then they're doing some new things.
Oh yeah, phase 1 and 2. So phase 1 was to do 149,171 square feet of the addition. That was going to be phase 1. And then phase 2 would be an addition of 81,932 square feet.
But it doesn't say what they are doing with those 180,000, whatever square foot.
You should have read it in the opening statement.
that their opening statement was just like, you know what, let me go back and look before I say that, but,
Doesn't even done the application.
yeah. I guess we can look at the variance
Yeah,
application to
that's
see
the
it.
one.
This is all said, the same thing. The applicant proposed expansion of existing manufacturing, addition of 248,040 square feet and related parking, driveways, and landscaping. Their only variance requests are because there's a requirement for a 36-foot wide driveway, and they're proposing a 58-foot wide driveway, and the impervious coverage is 60%, and they are proposing 63.4.
Driveway is,
So I would suggest that we put in our comments that since it's not in the application, ask the question, are they increasing any kind of manufacturing of any of their materials that have fragrances involved?
Are there any?
And the possible volatile organic, VOCs or whatever.
Okay.
And if so, what are they doing to contain those odors?
And they may
Okay.
have better technological solution, it's lower. They may have better technological solution, and we can learn and then propose.
Yeah.
Oh, then Agilex, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a worldwide
first
operation.
impact of surrounding.
And with all that additional square footage, did we recommend solar or green roof?
I think
No, I don't, hold on, let me go back to it.
We have a solar.
You know, that was, when was that done? That was last spring.
Yeah.
I don't think the regulation was.
Oh, no, we said the installation of solar panels on the roof is recommended. The law hadn't required it yet, but we recommended it.
Yeah.
So now we'll require it. You have to, I'm sorry, we have to just wait till public comment for the next go-around.
Can we add green as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Installation of solar fire is recommended.
Okay.
That's what the real site looks like. I don't know whether they also own
What was I gonna do here? Okay, let
They
me,
have everything covered,
I wish they had,
not like this one.
like you said, like what we asked for, Paul,
Right,
like
I
a,
know, it's,
And they have also, this is also there. So down here, there's recycle there.
If we just add some green, we're gonna put another
And I have,
240,000
I
square
don't know
feet.
where they're adding.
Those trees.
What is the proposed site?
You know, that's a good question. Tara, can you pull back on that same page you were just on so we can see where the additions are?
yes. Just give me 1 second, so I just wanna see the location of the retention basin
Yeah, sure.
while I'm on this page.
Where's the Commerce Drive?
Hold on 1 second. Oh yeah, these were here last time, the fire retention
Yeah.
basins, I remember these. Okay. Okay, let me go back to the old one, hang on. Not too far, okay. This is Dahmer Road over here.
Right. I think where numbers on the left.
See, Thomas Drive goes in
Commerce
off
is
Clyde
here.
Road, but this is at the very end of Commerce Drive.
Commerce, here, I have this up here. What's the address on this? Do you have a handy, Paul?
So,
The 200.
blocking.
It's, 105 Commerce Drive, block 8603, lot 1032.
Okay, hold on, I got it. Okay, so, it's not let me zoom, but let's see. Okay,
Yeah, so a little bit to the east,
where's Dahmer?
east, go
This
east.
is what I want.
I'm sorry, give me 1 second, I lost it for some reason.
No, if you just move to the left,
The Dahmer runs between Bennett's Lane and Amway
a
Road.
bit up. No, I'm in down, sorry. Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
there
here.
you've got
So,
one diagonally across the middle of the picture is Dahmer. and there you see L'Oreal over on the right.
This here?
Because the
So that's
the
where.
entire
So where are you
area,
putting the new buildings?
the entire area.
So this is
Where the
Commerce
woods
Drive,
are.
just so you know, this is Dahmer, I'm just gonna give you a Dahmer, Commerce, and then this is also Commerce here, what does that
Yeah,
say? I
this is
can't see.
Where's Amwell on it?
Jiffy.
Like this.
All right, now I wanna get the plans up so we can compare.
8603.
And
Where's 8603? Back up. Where's
there's
8603?
no regular access between Commerce and Dahmer.
I know.
And there's a chain across.
Yeah.
Okay, hang on, because I just wanna see where the proposed development is. Okay, so here we got Dahmer, we got Commerce, yeah, they're putting it in the wooded area, which is,
How
So
many trees?
that's not.
Go back to the picture.
okay, hang on,
Yeah.
here.
How many trees are they taking?
This is 8603. This one.
What is
But that's
8603?
That's the block.
Yeah, well, you can see from what you've shown of the plans that they're gonna cut down all the trees and that.
How many trees are they taking down?
1032.
Okay, hang on, it's this one, Paul, this is 1032, all of this.
Oh, the one in the corner?
All of this
Yeah.
lot is 1032,
So there's all
yeah.
trees.
This is where they're doing the addition. All right, now let me get to where the trees are, hang on. Where would
First
that,
of all, I will
let's
give
look
them
at
a
the
single decimal point extra on
But they
improvement.
may have, if this is phase two, they may have already cut down the trees in phase
Okay, they have to
one.
replant
Yeah.
that.
grading, let's see if it made it to the first 30 sheets. Grading, utilities,
There's gotta be a landscaping plan.
there's two.
Well, that guy is here. I can find it.
That's all right, you can pull it up. Here we go, landscape plan. It's easier probably for everyone, I assume, to see it up on the screen, right? Okay, it's here, I have it, Paul.
Okay.
All right, replacement, if I just give it a sec, okay, here we go. Replacement tree calculation, so, blow it up. So trees were removed, 158. And then required for replacement, 60% of
How
trees.
come
to
only
be-
60%?
That's not right. That's wrong. Let's see what the, so,
And that's 158 trees greater than some size.
This is 688.
yeah, I think what they probably meant is they're replacing, wait, let's see, here we go. Trees proposed for replacement, trees required for replacement, 783. Trees proposed for replacement, 533. Remaining replacement trees, 250.
Where they want to put them?
They're probably gonna do it in lieu, probably in lieu of,
The
There's no
In
space.
lieu of, you mean payments to?
yeah.
tree fund.
250 times 300,
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, we're not gonna.
75,000.
Oh, okay. Good.
So, I'm sorry.
So what are they gonna plant? 533 trees?
Let me look and see.
It was all around the edges, I think.
Nobody's gonna,
Yeah.
533?
Here, they're including, I think, some around, this is the retention basin right here, so they're including some of the trees that are gonna be in and around the retention basin.
Not in.
Up here,
Not in,
or around.
around.
Still,
Around,
that's not 533
but
trees.
still, yeah. Yeah,
Well, they're very tiny trees.
they are.
But each circle is supposed to be a tree.
Well, there's a bunch there.
Up here.
Finish.
And I think that's what.
All here, all around here, there's little tiny dots all in here.
They don't count.
Little tiny dots tend to be shrubs.
Yeah.
But they're counting them. Then we got these over here.
We could just say we question the amount of trees that they are planning to plant, because it appears there is a big
There's
space.
gotta be a
Yeah.
table that shows the replacement.
It is.
We did,
but we
yeah.
think it's unrealistic because we don't see them actually in the plan.
Well, I think they're showing just a section of the planting along
Right.
the upper edge.
So if you look here, you know what, let me see if they have, but if you look here, look at all these little dots. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so just this here, that's 5 trees, and it goes all the way down.
These are the
trees or flowers?
Tree flowers. Sorry.
Look at the schedule, let's blow the schedule up.
So we have
Little sketch.
shade trees, 26, and I can compare these and see, so we got 26 red maples, 26 October glory red I'm sorry, 21 October glory red maples, 8 green mountain sugar maple, 5 black gum, white oaks, pin oaks,
And that's 89 total.
89 total shade trees, 25 total ornamental trees, 419 evergreen trees, and 156 of those are Spartan juniper, and 136 are the emerald eastern red cedar.
It was
Yeah, 57 white pine.
White Pine for this.
Ted's favorite.
Do we allow white pine for something like
Well,
that?
we recommend they not do it, but I don't know, there's nothing that's, unless the Shade Tree Commission comes up with an ordinance to ban white pine. It's always just a suggestion. Is there anything in the shade tree that,
Whatever's on the list?
yeah?
Used to buying spice bush.
Spice bush, which is nice, yeah. Let's see. Then we got some evergreen shrubs, some perennials, and some ornamental grasses.
It's like the
Well,
last.
Ansonia, I have an Ansonia, they have lovely pale blue flowers in May.
Can you go back to the photograph?
The map?
The one of, yeah, that. That's the last stand of woods.
It's all residential.
All of that?
Actually, there's, as you can see, there are 2 patches of undeveloped up on the other side of Dharma.
On the left.
So that's 9.53 acres roughly of woods.
Tara, can you just point out for me where the corner of Dahmer and Amwell is, please?
Okay.
It's further north.
So this is
You move it
Dahmer.
down a little.
And
No, you have to
So
go
we have
back.
that down there.
Dahmer.
Yeah.
That's Emma.
This is Amwell. So this is the corner of Dahmer and, no, I'm sorry, yes it is, Dahmer and Amwell.
Okay, so that place, I know the people, the family that lives right at that corner where you see that stand of trees there?
Here.
There,
Okay.
right there. That's the corner of, and going down to the right there, is that going towards New Brunswick?
Yes.
New Brunswick?
Yes.
Yeah.
Go back. Yeah,
Yes.
Right where that corner was there.
Right here.
Yeah. So there should be a house right there, is that a house I see right
This
there?
is, yep.
Yeah, okay, so I just wanted to see, so I'm friends with the family who lives there, so that's not going anywhere, and I'm hoping someday they sell that for open space. That's about 6 or 7 acres, I think they have there.
And it's going down, the property, it has the kind of shape
That-
of...
Yeah, that flag lot, down to the right.
Yeah, I don't know if, that's not their whole, they don't have that Z-like property, I don't think the property's that big.
Somebody owns that part.
But
And
that
then
really is a
Conrail.
shame. Look at that.
And then Conrail is...
Yeah, we will hear from the Gary Court people, I'm sure.
Where are they, along the left?
No, Gary Court is that short, meaning in a cul-de-sac.
Right.
Across the road to- and to
So
the
the trees
right.
are gonna look around like the ones they had
Right there,
next to
yeah.
Robin, you might know those people,
cosmetic.
Burns?
cosmetic trees.
I know.
David
no.
Burns?
Yes.
And Valerie?
Yes,
Yeah.
I had met them.
Yeah, we were at their house a couple of weeks ago. That house there is an 18th century house.
Yeah, I thought it was, but they have such a fence up, you don't really get to see it.
Yeah.
But I remember.
It's a beautiful property inside.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice landscaping.
Let's try to push a green route, because that's pretty sad.
Yeah, I agree.
On that hard surface.
So that property has woods, but it's zoned manufacturing?
Well, they're certainly there.
The
It's on
property-
BI, yeah, so maybe
BI.
it's an industry, yeah.
and it's not on the scenic corridor.
Renew le déluge. Okay, Paradise.
Right. Was that the only, I think that was the only changes, right? That we know of?
Yeah.
We have the EVs in there and,
Yeah.
Have we ever officially made a recommendation to the planning board, the council, clerk, or whoever would be responsible for this, that anytime they resubmit an application, that they highlight or give a summary of specifically?
That's what
You just led me into what I was going to talk about when this was over. The Pulio one, which I think we talked about last meeting, it said May 1, no, it was submitted May 23rd. So
Yeah.
maybe it's one I didn't report on yet. This is what came from the TRC, and it has 18 pages, 17 pages, and this is the responses from the applicant for all the recommendations that were made by the TRC and us. And that's what we should be getting all the time. I mean, this is really nice.
We should be.
We should, I thought,
We're not.
that's why I put it that way.
That's the point, is that, I mean, we can't, I mean, we can only recommend it, but
Sure.
it's something that you would think the plan would, because you don't want to review, hundreds of pages of a plan and figure out which 3 pages did they make changes.
Well, no stuff is toward the back end.
well, the other thing I guess we could do, but it's not always listed on the website,
Yeah.
for example, and probably not in there. Even if we had the Franklin Township planning report, at least that we could use.
This is the TRC report.
Right, but even if we
This is the
had,
response to the TRC report.
that's a response, but if that's not required under our ordinance,
No.
for the applicant to submit that.
Oh.
But even if we had our Franklin Township, like, we want these changes, even then, we could at least use that
Yeah,
as to point out. That would be helpful.
Yeah, the thing is, some applicants will do that, and some
Yeah.
applicants will just say,
Right.
changes will be described at the hearing.
Yes,
That's the problem. But at least then we would have an idea of what to follow, like, we need to look
Yeah.
for, whatever, because you're right, this is
That was,
difficult.
that was, I mean, that was a verbatim from, it was actually from the engineering group, from the applicant.
Well, I would suggest if we'd like to recommend this as a sample, they just say comment noted, comment noted. They don't repeat what the comment was.
Right.
So it'd be helpful to say, per comment regarding,
Yeah.
here's our response. They don't do that. They just give the bullets to our answers without repeating the question.
Right, yes,
That's not as helpful as it might be.
yeah.
Now, and for instance, on the ball glass, really, as I mentioned, I think the main changes were in response to the Canal Commission report.
Right.
And
So that Julio one, are we
We should.
reporting on that or no?
This one they needed to know by June 20th, so we should handle that. I think I did it. Look, see if I did it.
Julio, we did that before. I know
Yeah, I
that.
know,
Is this planning board or this is?
This is PLN 22 and 406.
Okay.
we're obviously not hearing it on June 21st.
No, it says no, they want this back no later than June 20th.
Yeah.
Julio, let's see if they submitted and updated it.
Yeah, this is the third submittal.
Okay. Well, they had
Where's
the
this?
extension for it, let's see. So they did submit updated materials, it looks like, this is an extension they got for what? For a freshwater wetlands permit.
This
So
one
that was
is,
extended to November.
this is the Atrium Drive extension, back in the corner by 287, back in there.
All right. Let's see what they submitted here. Let's do this. Let me get the old report out from us. That one.
Yeah, because we did, we did,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so it looks like we did one in January of 2022, and then we have an updated one February 7th, 2023.
Okay.
And we basically said, our July 19th memo, basically those comments are still included and addressed, including these, which we said the EC continues to recommend the applicant investigate the feasibility for solar panels on the roof, a green roof, cool roof technology, or at a minimum make-ready solar roof. Applicant should consider the installation of pervious pavements. Planting schedule has been amended from the first submission. The updated plans reduce the number of trees for replacement. Most noticeably reduction of native trees, okay?
There's the anti-idling.
Yeah, tree removal, so we talked a lot about that anti-idling, okay, so we hold plans. Let's see what's, oh, they're here already, that's nice. Okay, so they are proposing 126,000 square foot warehouse building with office space. And then there is a proposed one-story warehouse also. With a mezzanine office above. Okay, let me look at their application originally to see exactly what it said. Let's look at the variance at. Let's look at this. Okay. This is their third submission. Final site plan, okay. To construct a one-story, 90,665 square foot warehouse with 81,065 square feet of warehouse, a 600 square foot, comma, 4,500 square foot mezzanine, 45 showroom in there too. Access to the site is provided a full movement driveway along Atrium Drive. Okay, doesn't not much. Let me look at the
How big was the showroom?
The showroom, so that was the first application, so I just want to go to the site plans because it looks like they've amended it, so the showroom is in this one, so now this has been reduced down to 73,041 square feet. It was originally like 85, I think.
Yeah, it was higher. So
In the
it's
mezzanine is where the showroom is. Proposed one-story mezzanine office above, which is 8,826 square feet within.
So the showroom would be on the ground floor and an office above.
Right.
Where it says lobby, what does it say? You know?
Install, well, right on it, it says install EV station.
Oh,
Do you have any idea what a showroom is needed for in a warehouse?
I'm gonna look at the variance application to see if they explain like what they're doing at all. So they don't explain what they're doing, it just says,
Mezzanine showroom.
mezzanine showroom. 13 Lloyd, they don't really tell you why they need a
It's poorly
showroom.
written, I mean, that
What
was
is
600
Julio?
square foot comma.
For sale.
Christmas tree?
Is it like, so what is it? Is it like a Christmas store? It's in
Like
South
Christmas tree shop.
Christmas sale.
Are they growing trees in the showroom?
Oh, it's like garden, it's like a, it looks like it's a tree, no, is it like a tree company? Oh,
Fake trees.
third generation family-owned manufacturer and distributor of unique handcrafted Christmas, Halloween, and holiday decor items.
Oh. So that'd be the showroom.
A fake tree showroom.
Yeah.
And please let them know that those trees that they have in there do
How many of the real trees are really
not go towards what they have
Count,
on
yeah.
the property?
So now we have the warehouse 733,041 and 126. Originally, they were proposing 90,000 square feet and 81,000 square feet.
But they came down both buildings, or different?
No, it looks like they went up in one building and down in one
Down in the other,
building.
yeah.
Because 126,000 square feet is one, right? Yes. So it looks like this one came down by about 13,000 square feet.
This is, oh yeah, decrease. Yeah, because this is on as yet undeveloped land.
Yeah.
The showroom is on undeveloped land?
Let me get the map up.
There was a lot of construction
Backs up
debris
on
and that kind of stuff
287.
too. There was a lot of old fill that they had stored there, I remember, that whole area was
Yeah.
covered with, also it wasn't old grown trees, it was trees that had grown on the fill,
Let me go this way.
that had been dumped there.
I think instead of having a showroom there, there's a place that's vacant at the corner of Easton and,
Yeah.
what is it?
468.
Vermont or what?
Well, it's 47 comes right alongside. So this is,
I'm going.
Because this is still rolling on.
Just roll it out.
I know, I'm going. I'm going as
You
fast
got it
as I
then?
can.
You got
Yeah,
the right one?
hold on
Okay.
1 second. 2113. 21. There's no 2113, there's 2110, so let's go there and we'll figure it out. All right. This is not the, ignore this for a second, I'm just trying to get to the general area. Okay, so they're off of the here's 287, they're off of the, it says that they're 2113, but there's no 2113 in the system, so are they this one?
What's the address?
Go down a little
There's
further.
an Atrium Drive extension. This here?
Strictly speaking, yeah.
It's this?
Some of it, yeah. And some of it is in the EWA, the 400 and 600
Look here.
Atrium Drive application.
Applicant, street address, but that's their,
That's your headquarters.
yeah. The only address they give is just Atrium Drive extension.
Yeah, because it's an extension that hasn't been built yet.
And there's no street numbers, no house numbers yet.
Can we kick it back and say, we can't comment on this because we can't find the lot?
46801, 2113. 46801, 2113.
Where's Davidson?
Upper left corner.
Here's 287, here's Davidson.
Okay.
Let me look at this.
So
and see if I can
this
figure it
area
out.
here, see, there's a swimming pool there.
Yeah, oh yeah, there's a swimming pool on the site, you're right, it's this then. There's a swimming pool there, they mentioned that. Let's see, who owns that?
Well, that,
Interesting, no.
There's 46801.
Yeah, no data here, yeah. If you could, I think you can just see the
it's
shape.
sort of the left-hand part
This is,
of
oh,
what is outlined there.
It's next to 2811.
Well, that's what used to be the Garden State Exhibition Center.
this is
And
2104.
that expanded. Then you have, that's double tree.
So this.
No, that's,
There's a hotel under construction there somewhere.
This is 20, oh wait, is that's 21, this is 2104 right here, what I'm,
That's double
Okay,
tree.
so it's down where the trees are, because there is no 2110 on here. And there's the street, they created it.
this is the Atrium Drive,
Yeah,
okay?
it's this. They're
Yeah.
putting in a street here, and then this will be one lot. and this will be
Okay.
another.
Got it, so it is this one,
Yeah.
so it's not 2113, it's 2110.
Well, they're creating a 2113 and a 14.
Right, but they really should use the existing lot number,
Well, see, because
so
they
we
put
can find it.
Because they're putting the street through it.
Right, but they have to get approval to make those, so,
And they created 2111, which isn't up there
this
either.
is 2106.
okay.
Yeah,
2103 is over here.
this becomes 2111, and this is
Right.
2113, this is
Yeah.
2114, and the street goes right through there.
Yeah. All right, so this is what we're looking at
Yeah,
then.
this is actually an extension. Maybe, yeah, maybe.
It's that whole lot, she's saying they're subdividing it, but they're using the subdivision numbers as if they've been approved. So that's why we couldn't find it, because it doesn't, like, those lots don't exist yet. We just go back to the
Because
site plan.
those lots will all be different approvals.
Right.
The right-hand
Part of it is already developed. The picture of the old, so that's how we left that the old.
Corner of that property is
No, no,
already
they
developed.
haven't been approved yet, subdivision, they're just.
No, I mean, this picture, I think,
Which is outdated.
Which one?
Always
that?
when the trees are still there.
Oh, yeah, they're still there, yeah. So here's the site plan that they're proposing, so you can kind of get an idea. So the one warehouse is gonna go here, below that pool. Keep in mind where that pool is. The other warehouse is going over here, so let's go back.
Any chance you can make your little thing bigger, that so you can see where you're moving it around?
The mouse?
The mouse, yeah.
Am I right that this part is already developed here? There is a building?
I didn't hear your question, I'm sorry, Stan.
This part is already developed. There is some building there.
Yes, there is, because here's, that's, so one of them's gonna be here, the other one's gonna be
Yeah,
over here
there's a
somewhere.
hotel being built
Right,
in that corner.
Yeah.
oops, wrong one. So yes, so that's kind of just to get your idea of what's going on.
So there's that's an indoor pool.
Yeah. And the gray area at the left there is the 400, 600 Atrium Drive that's going to be heard on Wednesday.
This
It was
is the
supposed to be
Atrium Drive
heard at the
extension.
last meeting.
Okay. So this is the third submission of this, but we don't know what they changed.
So this is now 126,000 square feet.
That's more, and this one is less.
This one's a lot more.
No, but that left-hand one is not part of this application. They're showing it as proposed because it is proposed.
But it's not, so there's your application.
But this application refers to two buildings.
It
So where's
does.
the other building?
This application refers to,
One story
yeah,
building.
1-story, 90,665 square foot warehouse, which includes the mezzanine.
Right, one building.
Oh, it is the only one building, you're right. So they're
Yeah,
referencing
it shows.
400, 600 Atrium
Yes.
Drive application,
Right.
which is two buildings.
So this lower building took away a lot of the trees to install it.
right.
Now,
Now,
the
so-
lower building, well,
Or was that the one that was on the fill? One of them was on fill during the, there was just some trees growing on the dirt pile.
So the warehouse they're proposing is below 100,000 square feet.
That was that one, yeah.
but
So
there's
it's
some
not
nice
required
trees
solar, but
over at the P87 here.
Solar or, and or
I'm sure that they don't cut them down.
Where is Route
They're not showing any EV.
On the
right. Oh, really?
right.
It's for EV station.
Right.
But I don't think they have enough.
Yeah, how much parking? 43 parking
43
spaces,
parking.
yeah, 43 parking
So
spaces.
that's, I guess they do have enough.
Yeah,
Maybe like two EV, maybe.
yeah.
One side is EV.
I think probably a lot of our previous comments will just stand.
That's why I wrote it out that way.
Yeah. Here's the planting schedule. So we're doing a bioretention basin. What do we got here? They are doing 11 Green Mountain sugar maples, 11 American hornbeam, 3 Jersey Bell silver bell, 11 Redmond American lindens. So that's 33, 36 shade trees. Then we have
51,
That's
Yeah.
3,500. It's 96.
So altogether, it looks like they're saying they're doing 156 replacement
And
trees.
what's what it is? How many was required?
Let's see, it's a tree removal charts. 166 trees removed.
Yeah, but those are less than 16 inch, and then the one
Right.
below is greater is a 36.
133, so altogether it's total required replacements, 171.
They're doing, they're meeting it. Looks like.
171.
Look, 36 trees bigger than a 16 inch caliper. Those
Yeah.
are big trees.
So they're supposed to have 171, and they're proposing 156, so they're under.
Everybody,
But they're going to, I'm sure, just make the payment.
yeah, that's not a lot of money then.
171 required, and 156 proposed.
So they're 15 short.
Yeah,
You think you'd find a place for 15 trees?
I know.
$4,500.
Yeah. It doesn't matter to them
Super
at that
cheap.
size.
Still cheap.
It is cheap, yeah.
We could put a comment in there, we have done this before and said that especially for the larger trees, we'd like you to try and find a way to
Save some of
maintain
that.
them, yeah.
Yeah, make a comment, they're not short, just do a little more.
Okay.
See, there's a case, if they're doing them both buildings, but one's already been proposed, they could put more trees on the other side.
Yeah,
It's still
not
their
that,
property.
it's somebody else.
Yeah,
All right.
okay.
Anything else, or is that it?
I think that completes our site plan. Yeah, fun. New business, grant for green infrastructure improvements and trail development, Naaman Williams Park.
So just an update, so the Trails Advisory Committee had applied with the, with the help of OSAC and Recreation to get a grant from Sustainable Jersey to do green infrastructure improvements along the Naaman Williams Trail, which is frequently flooded, or has at least some ponding issues, and also to create a trail in the wooded section of Naaman Williams Park. These ideas came out of, there was actually a crime prevention through environmental design study done in 2020 and identified things that can be done at Naaman Williams Park that'll reduce instances of crime, make the park more usable and friendly. Right, all of that. So we actually did get the grant, which is great. So it's for $20,000 from Sustainable Jersey, so we can start off doing that. Presented it to Open Space before we submitted it, and Open Space understands as well as the town that of course we probably are gonna have to put more funds into it to complete it, but they only give out 5 $20,000 applications, and this is the second time we've gotten one in Franklin and since 2020, which is really good. So yeah, and it kind of really works with our local health assessment because it's, we really want to start doing some work in that area of town. So, and that involves green infrastructure, which is why I'm letting all of you know, because we start working on it, we can definitely maybe kind of brainstorm and see what types of green infrastructure would be good there and, kind of get some things like that going, so.
Okay, the next item is the meeting with Mark Healy, which Robin and I and Tara had at 10 o'clock this morning. And it talks about, the meeting was about things we brought up before. It's to get a sustainability element in the master plan. And Mark was receptive. We talked about how to do it and what might be done. And one of the big things that it is we're going to want to get some input from the planning board as we're doing this. And so Mark's going to think about who might be on the planning board to work with us as we develop this. We gave him a timeline of toward the end of next year, really. So it's not tomorrow. We got time to work on it. We did discuss the Princeton sustainability element, mentioned Montclair and Hoboken. Those are models, the things that we can use as a blueprint. And if we work along with the planning board, we got time to work out things. We'll edit the Princeton one to start with. Robin's already been halfway through that, and taking out the railroad station and the university and putting in things that we have.
The 8 villages, et cetera, et cetera.
Right, yeah, but it gives us a good foundation. So it was a good meeting, I think. We really set some ideas. And we'll see how it goes. Robin, you want to add anything?
I'll reach out to Anjek Schmuck-Reddini and ask her what other towns have a sustainability element, and if she could get us copies.
Okay. Carol, you want to add anything?
No, I think it really did go well. I mean, we'll definitely work on it, and it will be adopted as a part of the master plan. So we will have, the planning board's assistance, which will be great, and yeah, I think working with the template that we have, but I did, and I mentioned to me, I think we should definitely make some changes to it to make it more, like our style. But I think, yeah, it's a good start. So we can definitely start working on it, in our capacities here. And then once we have the participants from the planning board, kind of mentioned Ted as being one of them, hopefully, because he's on both. But then once we have another person from planning, we can kind of really start getting into it. So.
We could use your recommendation, the people on the planning board.
Well, him too, him and someone else.
Yeah, somebody else to add to this committee.
Well, the first question is whether Mike Orsini will want to do it himself.
Right.
Okay, that gives the chairman the chance to...
obviously, if he wants to, he will.
Maybe the next meeting you can talk to Mike, and see what he said. Let him know what we're doing and why we're doing it.
Yeah.
Because, as I mentioned to Mark and we've talked about here, to do an ordinance which is the open end, to require solar on the roof or a green roof, we need the master plan to reflect that first. There's enough things where people do the master plan without the backup, and then we get sued. So we're going to avoid that if we do it right. And that's what we're trying to do.
Get into more detail about green infrastructure.
Exactly.
Okay, green
exactly.
infrastructure,
Sure.
yeah.
Green building requirements.
Yeah,
Right.
that's the heart of it. But it does get into shade tree, it gets into all these
Yes.
other things.
A lot of
It's
different
it's
planning areas,
encompassing.
yeah.
That's what the master plan's about. So,
But I think, well, I'm sorry.
good, no, go ahead.
No, I'll wait for the next subject.
Okay, the next one is reports
Yeah,
from subcommittees.
on membership there, my other thought would be Rebecca Hilbert, who's a new
Her name came up. Her name came up.
member.
Yes.
But she's in New Jersey League of Conservation
Right.
Oh,
Voters, so
that's,
she's very interested.
that's fine.
Yeah, that would be great.
Maybe she'll be at the gala.
She will be at the
She will
gala.
be
She will be at the gala.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
We'll not get to talk to her, because we're
Yeah.
gonna, so that would be a all-campus,
Have you met-
non-cooperative meeting.
Have you met her?
I have.
No, I know you have.
No, I don't think so.
Because I can introduce you.
Okay, good. Let's do that as an assignment.
Sure.
Okay, so, then, Maria, is there anything from your education committee?
Well, I just shared with Robin, an outstanding, want to find out. On May 13, I participated at a fair at Hamilton Middle School, and it was an accident. I just saw again Joelle from the youth center, and we revisited the conversation about having the summer youth program, and he gave me these three. The feedback that I received was that the youth cannot guarantee that we are going to have the same number of kids for the sessions that we are going to offer. We might have 2 one day for one of us that show up, 10 another day. And his suggestion was that we should advertise on our website, work on the recruitment, and they will provide the facilities. That's what the feedback I received. I think I have my opinions about that feedback, but I'm just reporting what they say. I don't think it's going to be. I think it goes beyond our roles, the recruitment.
Yes.
We don't have them ever.
We don't have that, no.
And also liabilities, because we were talking about kids that needed consent. I don't know how we're going to get the kids if they have the place for the kids.
Is this?
I don't know if any of us want to go visit and speak with.
Is this part of the youth center you're talking about? Or-
Yes.
I've been there. We were there last
That's
week.
not the problem.
No.
The problem is they won't do the work to pull the kids together. We have to do the work.
We have. That's what I want to say. We have to pull the kids when the kids.
Yeah.
To have us come in and do an information session, because they said last year they wanted us to come do something.
They're in the summer.
We talked
Oh, the
about
summer, yeah.
direction.
No, forget it.
I gotta say, the youth center
I
is
said, my birthday, I
magnificent.
can't.
We were there because they honored
Yeah, but-
Canal Walk,
but
because they
they-
gave us $3 grand to
No,
start
it's
with.
beautiful, but
Yeah.
what I understood from his feedback is that he said, well, you might plan something very engaging for the kids, and you might have one kid one day,
Yeah.
and in another session you might have 15, and they cannot control them.
No, they can't.
So it's on us to,
Yeah.
according to the feedback, to get. But if someone else wants to talk to them and revisit this,
The only thing I can say is we do a lot of work with getting different people to come to our trails walks, and sometimes they're kids, sometimes it's 55 plus, sometimes it's, people with pets. the way that we get to those people is we work with recreation. And when I say we work with recreation, I make a flyer and recreation like kind of takes, because we don't have the contacts or the staff or anything to actually do
It
that.
seems to me obvious that the way to get the youth is through the youth center, even if it's only by posting posters.
Yeah, why can't we just show, like, say, on this day, we're gonna be at the youth center, and if you're interested, sign up or come.
Well, I didn't speak with I spoke with the manager, like
Wendy,
Joanne, but probably if someone speak with the director, any of
Yeah.
us, we will get a different response to what
That could be.
because I was a little discouraged. I was like,
we-
I didn't even tell my committee, because I'm not gonna,
We can get a new,
We met with the, I mean, it is parks, the youth center is under Parks and Recreation. And we set up a 501c3, they did, so we could make contributions, and we're doing it ongoing. So we got honored at the first annual thing, a couple weeks ago, we got a plaque. And we said we do more. What they're really concerned about is getting food for the kids. The kids come in hungry. And they have snacks enough, they get snacks from the food bank, but it's not enough. And so that's what our money is going toward, is to have a dinner once a month also. We're going to fund the dinners every month.
I would recommend, can I just make a right, instead, not that we don't want to, not instead of going to the youth center, but like I just said with the trails, the trails committee is literally always wanting to host a walk for anyone that's interested, anybody. So
It could be
if
a
there's some kind of
walk.
environmental walk we can do, I mean, one of our members, Chuck Martin, he's on open space and trails. He's a former professor at Rutgers in ecology, and maybe we can partner with them, because that's literally like posting a flyer, posting a Facebook, people love to show up. Not that I don't want to go to that, but like, for example, like I definitely can't do that. And I know, unless someone here can do it, but that seems like a lot of,
because then we have to do the curriculum, we have to
Yeah.
find the resources, and I was okay with that, but also
Right.
find the kids, why we don't pick
It's
any.
beyond what we can do.
I would say
So
put that on
we
the
have to
agenda.
know what we want to do.
yeah.
If we're going to have a program, what is the
Yeah.
program?
I would say put it on the open space,
Then we can
the
advertise.
agenda, because I think Chuck would love to do something like that.
I'm meeting with
I'm
Trails on,
volunteering Chuck
yeah.
for that.
Well, he'll do it.
I know he will.
I am meeting with Trails on Wednesday, and so I'll mention it to them. So they're doing,
Can bring it to-
anyone that's interested in hosting any kind of walk, they absolutely would love to do it, any of our locations. I mean, I'm just trying to think, we should probably pick a spot that has something environmental in
What
nature.
is the distance of the walk?
So it depends. So for the 55-plus walks, they're
Yeah.
usually about a 3/4 to a mile, and we always
I could
choose
do
a
that.
flat area. For our walks with pets, we usually go to the more hilly areas, longer. We have a trail run coming up, for example, at John Clyde Memorial Native Grasslands Preserve, and that's 2 miles. So it really depends on who the audience is. But we did trail safety with a police officer. We had one of the Franklin Township police come, and we did it at Inman Park, which is just about 1 mile. So we try and vary it for the audience,
Tell her about
but.
But don't you have some type of liability waiver?
So we do, we have a waiver that every participant has to sign, and we just have them sign it right there, or they can sign it when they register online. There's like a checkbox. But we do them only at municipal properties, and then our Trails Committee members really lead them, so it's, you know.
How about
I don't know if the Canal Walk people know about that, because a lot of us walk on the footpath.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's,
If you go on the recreation site, you can see any of the walks that are planned. But Chuck Martin, on our open day, he does a 55-plus walk every Friday, I think, in June, at 9 or 10 a.m. And if you go to the recreation website, you can see where they do it. Yeah.
I know somebody might be interested.
Oh, we can do committees.
Okay.
Committee
So I'll put on the
activities.
trails agenda for Wednesday and the open space agenda, and then maybe we can figure out something like that.
But you have to figure out what's the topic you want to bring to the walk.
Yeah.
What is the environmental commission going to add to a walk that's already happening? What are we going to talk about?
That's what we have to
present?
figure out, yeah. Partner walk, so the good thing is, the other thing is the Trails Committee knows the trails, they know every square inch of those, so they'll be able to say, oh, there's like a stand of very specific trees at this location. Oh, there's a lot of, birds and butterflies that come to a certain
My
location, so
friend
they'll
Chuck
know.
will do that off the top.
He will, yeah.
My friend, she just put an app, she got an app on her phone now, that when you hear a bird chirping, the phone tells you who the birds are.
Chuck, he has it, yeah.
Merlin does it
Yeah.
from Cornell Lab.
Yeah, we were up on Lake Superior, walking through the woods right on the lake shore, and, you know, we just, but you pulled out the app, and this was one of the, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I can add that to the agenda, and we can at least see how we
I
can do
know you
that.
did.
But the trouble with hearing aids is if your hearing aids are imbalanced, unless they're
Well, she has your,
putting in exactly the same amount of sound, if the right one is receiving more, well, then it keeps saying the thing is slightly to the
all the
right.
things you do yourself, but she has hearing aids, but her phone does, do the sleeping, you know, it listens, and then it tells you what. Anyway, the next, yes, let's move on. Hot topics, I think we've covered on hot topics.
Still on, it's not a subcommittee, but shade tree.
Shade tree, okay.
I can just give you, I guess it was 2 meetings ago where I brought up here about the proposal by the Canal Walk HOA attorney,
Right.
planting
Yeah.
trees, and that I proposed to Shade Tree that we send a letter opposing that. So
Right.
that was done on, when was it? May 26th, the Shade Tree Commission sent a letter or email to the council opposing the use of Shade Tree Trust Fund money to be used for planting on private property, on Canal Walk property. So I just wanted to follow up
Okay.
with that.
And speaking of shade tree, I think it's time that our joint committee get back together. Are we still waiting for the comment period to end on the new tree ordinance? Where does that stand?
So after we looked at the model tree ordinance that was sent out, I think our group, the way I think we left it off was that our ordinance already exceeded the model ordinance requirements, so we didn't have to do anything in terms of like, you know, worrying how to meet that ordinance.
Right.
So we can definitely meet again.
Didn't we want to make changes to our ordinance anyway?
I believe we do still, right? Yeah, so.
So I think
yeah.
we should get together and maybe get some dates in July or August when we can meet.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Before we're on the shade tree committee, I'm passing them again today. I'm reminded of the dead trees along South Middlebush Road between Claremont and Beekman, and what can be done about that?
The question is, are those in the right of way, or are they on
They
the private
probably
property?
were installed by the developer.
Probably.
Probably are not on the way.
I don't know if it's a 25-foot from the middle of the road there or something else, but those trees have been dead for several years.
Oh, yeah.
But that's the question, whose responsibility is it? I mean,
That's the kind of thing that there are wide cracks to slip through.
and I think that you and I have both talked about, regardless of whose trees those are, we can play, you know, there is a right of way there,
Yeah.
or maybe closer to the road, we don't know. That if it's the right of way, then we can use Shade Tree Trust Fund money to plant new trees there.
No, I mean, the feeling is, if we don't ever use the shade tree trust fund money to plant trees, some developer is going to have the idea of claiming that he shouldn't be required to submit money to
Yeah,
it.
you're right, Ted. You're right.
I'm thinking of going to the next council meeting and speaking on this. I've already wrote an email to Bornlocker, to which I have not gotten a response.
Do you think it's because there's a reluctance to plant them or a lack of direction?
We don't have space.
I think there's a lot of reluctance centering around Carl Howe.
Right.
On the one hand was the problem of keeping the trees watered,
Maintenance.
and he doesn't want to plant trees between the sidewalk and the street in the right of way, and probably thinks, well, the inside of the sidewalk may not be in the right of way. So, you can't plant them either way. But I'm not,
Well,
I'm just
maybe-
going on a few things
We
you
get
said.
our tree ordinance tightened up, and we make the recommendation that we have a municipal arborist.
That should be in there, yeah.
And I'm really thinking not aligned with our planning group, but somebody who works for Franklin Township,
Yeah.
that can go toe-to-toe with a
With the
farmer.
amount of money that we're accumulating, we should be able to hire a municipal
Yes.
arborist.
Yes,
And
and
Bornlacher will say, well, what happens when all the warehouses have been built?
Well, what has been discussed at Shade Tree is, so the engineering company that Franklin worked
No.
with, CME, has an arborist, and we've asked to just have discussions with the arborist, to have the arborist work with us, but we've been told, well, you have to go through Carl Howard. And, that's been an issue. We've also brought up saying, we know of many places that we can plant trees, but we want to have a plan. We want to know that the DPW is going to take care of those trees. We don't want to plant trees and then see them die. We want to know that they're going to water them, stake them, mulch them, and, for at least 2 years until they don't need, our protection anymore. We have not received that from DPW yet. We've been working on that, but you know the story with that situation, and it's hard to get things done there.
No. Well, I thought that building on what, I think I mentioned at the last meeting, which you of course weren't at, that I went to New Jersey Conservation Foundation, the annual retreat of the trustees. We went to a lot of sites in Trenton, and at one of which we heard from a young man who is pushing the planting of trees there, and he goes out along the street and talks to the homeowners and gets them to commit to water the trees. That's what we ought to be trying to do, at least in some areas. I mean, my feeling, and I know Robin's feeling, is that east of Franklin Boulevard, you have streets that they're old enough that there was no requirement to plant street trees, so they need street trees. West of Franklin Boulevard, you generally have plenty of street trees.
Well, if you have a list of those streets,
Well, somebody's got to survey them. In fact, one day I looked at some streets, and there was for instance, there's a block of Park Street that could definitely use some. There's one side of,
we need this, you're naming streets, but we need to get this written down as the name of these streets. Shade Tree wants to plant trees, the shade, now that we've changed it from $30 a tree to $300 a tree, what the developers need to pay, that fund is growing.
Well, I'm happy to
We
take-
want to be able to plant trees, but we also want to know that they're going to be taken care of properly, because we don't want to throw good money after bad. Or bad money after good.
Carl House doesn't want to commit his workers to go water the trees.
And also what we talked about is that there's, an example is the Kingston property, the open space Kingston property, the school property, where they planted, it was probably 2 years ago, maybe right before COVID or during COVID, they planted, DPW planted several trees there. I mean, maybe 20 or 30, and they're doing well.
Well, I'd be happy to volunteer to work with someone to go canvass that neighborhood one day this summer and try to record.
I would
We could do that together, and then once we do that, I'd be happy to go to First Baptist, a couple of the other churches in that neighborhood, and ask them if we could have a meeting with some of their parishioners and talk about the need to help maintain trees. If we get them planted, would you, community members, help keep them watered?
Planted on public property.
Right, but have them help keep them watered.
No. Yeah, I think that's the main thing, is keeping them watered. I mean, yeah, we've had one day of rain in the last week.
Right.
Yeah.
And when it comes, you know how it will come.
Well, actually, that one day was a good rain, because it was a light rain all day long,
Yeah.
Maybe
instead of
tomorrow.
being a torrent in 2 hours.
That was May 20th, I remember it well.
Let's do that this summer, Ted, enough talk, we'll do that, but I think.
But included on that list is looking at South Middle Bush Road. You know, we're talking about possibly planting trees in Memorial Forest. You know, regardless of whether they are memorial trees, they might be trees that we plant and people will adopt them later as memorial trees. That's part of the plan as well. But again, when we've talked about, it's my understanding that in Memorial Forest that there is a water line that goes all the way back there. When we were out there, you weren't there, when Bob Puskas, myself, and Connor from EPW were out there to mark off the place for our first memorial tree that we've talked about out front.
Yes,
He marked it off.
I heard.
And
Yeah.
have you heard from Bob today?
Not today, the other
That
day.
they
Did it get done?
the
Did it
water
get marked?
and PSE&G still haven't come out and marked it off. And that, my understanding, again, is another internal issue
Right.
where they have not informed PSE&G, and that's supposed to get done within 3 days.
Well, yeah,
But it
because you
can't
have
be
to
done.
apply for a new mark out if you
Right,
don't get, yeah.
but the people here in town, personnel in town, have not done that. And that's a bit of an embarrassment in that situation.
Yeah.
Without a voice in this building, working for the township, advocating for trees, you know, this guy at CME who's in some office somewhere else who's responsible for how many municipal clients isn't going to be the advocate we need. I think
It's not a matter of that, it's higher up in the hierarchy that is the issue.
well, if we have a squeaky wheel, it might help get the attention of the hierarchy.
So, okay, so that,
Unfortunately, Carl Hoke is no longer on the planning board, because I used to talk to him there.
Just one thing to add to that, when we do canvass the neighbors, I would like to, because one of the things we looked at in health assessment was areas in town that have higher heats and are suffering from the heat island effect, so I'd like to include that as, okay, good, okay, perfect.
okay, is there any in old business that we want to discuss?
Only thing is the annual report, so it's complete, and I am gonna have it posted, so it's good to go. I sent it to Bob Bornlocker so he can share it with the council.
Okay.
So it's complete, thank you all for sending in for your info.
Thank you for doing it.
Can we maybe, since we're not getting it done this year, maybe next year we present it ourselves?
Yeah, absolutely. We can present it this year if you want.
That was a recommendation from one of the municipalities down in South Jersey that's pretty active, their environmental commission.
To present the annual report.
They present the annual report in person, so the council sees who the environmental commission is and here's what we've done in the last year.
So do you want me to ask,
See, we can get on
Bob,
calendar.
to get on calendar?
I know that the Shade Tree does something like that, and Steve Galuli, who is the chair of Shade Tree,
Right.
I believe he's supposed to be presenting in front of the council sometime in June in the next
Okay.
1 or 2 meetings.
We could see if we can get on for sure, because it's already, it's set up in PowerPoint, so it's easy enough to use, so. Okay, I have that on my list of to-dos.
Oh, one thing, before you skip to that, I saw a headline recently where a lady in Iowa, I guess, had a complaint that she had wetlands on her property and she couldn't fill it, just, like she wanted to. And it went all the way to the Supreme Court, and one of the justices went to the Clean Water Act, the wetland section, and sort of gutted it.
Yes.
And I don't know how long it's going to be before it filters down, but the concern is that, with wetland, less wetland, and more flooding, there's going to be more flooding in the time of climate change.
Yeah.
So we'll have to look for that and see what's
And
going on.
what interests me, Walter, is, I read about that decision, I think it was Idaho.
Yeah.
What can New Jersey do as a state to help strengthen or protect our existing wetland regulations that can't get jettisoned because of the Supreme Court
Yeah.
decision.
They'll talk
Because of
about-
our conditions cannot
I think that the New Jersey regulations protect wetlands, even though the Supreme Court decision was that wetlands that are not directly connected to sort of open water streams are not protected by federal law,
Right.
but that doesn't prevent them being protected by state
Good. That was my,
unless the state law is derived from the federal law. Anyway, I immediately put in email to Ed Potosnak saying, is our state protection strong enough? And he
Have you
wrote
heard?
back saying essentially, yes, but let's make it stronger.
That was
They're
my
moving it
concern.
to undermine all of the EPA regulations.
well, that's why we have to hope that the state can have its own and that they're
Yeah.
immune to that kind of threat.
You know, see, in a state like Idaho, they don't give a damn whether he's cutting down trees.
Right. That's right.
So, we have finished the things on the menu, you can stand.
I would like to propose that we invite Lowell Watershed Partnership to our meeting to give a presentation about what they do and to kind of...
Yeah, we did pass the resolution.
Yes,
So
yes,
they-
but we didn't go through to, I kind of suggested but didn't go. So is it okay that I talk to Heather and,
So let's schedule the time for the
yeah?
Yeah, I would say just, pick a date and then let us know so that we know it's not, when we have any other thing going on.
I wonder, would an alternative be that we make that an education session at the library and we invite the community to come find out what the Lower Raritan Watershed Partnership is and does? Heather's dynamic, she'd be fun to listen to. If we got 20 or 30 people there,
That might be better too, only because then it doesn't...
She comes here, she's
Right.
talking to the choir.
right.
You know?
And then we might give time for question and answer, and she could bring some video stuff.
It's going to be
But we can also have a room here.
We could do
She
it.
can present here. We do have some audience and we already here.
But we have 15 minutes here.
Yeah, I'll ask how much time she needs.
Yeah,
Because David Brook, last time he spent how much, 30, 40?
Well, it's never really 15 minutes that anyone presents. That's the only thing. If someone comes here and presents, and that's totally fine. It's just that we
It
have
just
to do the...
stops up the time for a meeting.
Yeah,
Right.
Because I think we could all commit to being at the library too. You know, that we as an EC say we will be there.
If we advertise it.
And the library's got its own mailing list, they
Yeah.
get out to people that we don't.
Well, we could also even, if you don't want to do it in the library, we could see if the room at the senior center is available, which is right in this building, the large conference room.
Or the
yeah.
council chambers.
Council chambers,
Which is
yeah.
where we've always done this.
One of the nice things about the library is they do the promoting.
They
And
do.
they've got a very
Their
active
website is
list.
true.
Yeah.
They do. Yeah.
No, regardless of where it is, if it's the library, that's great, but even if it's not at the library, can we get them still to,
I don't know.
Yeah, they're within their own domain.
So let's see what, maybe the education, we can find out the
I don't know if they
library.
want some truth
Promote
in
it
their
off
property,
campus
they have to advertise.
They will put it on the website of campus?
Meaning like if we had it here,
Oh, okay. I can-
but would they send it out to their list
I think that's a good idea.
if we didn't have it at the library?
I like it.
Yeah.
The only other thing for old business that I have is, so the local health assessment, so the report is finished.
Good.
But you
Safi,
never thought you'd see me on the...
no, Safi is reviewing it. She went through the whole thing, actually, not many changes to make, so her and I are finalizing the last part of it, and then hopefully I can start, we'll reconvene the steering committee, and then I can start presenting it at places. So, because that's basically done. One good thing that came out of the longer time frame is that we are combining the assessment and the action plan together. So basically, instead of doing a separate action plan, it'll all be together. So
When you say presenting it at places, what do you mean?
I can present it to, hopefully, once Kathy reviews it and like, the council review it and everything. I can present it to the council, I can present it here, open space, trails, ag, and then I went last time to, the Recreation Advisory Committee, the Human Relations Committee, is that what it's called? Human Relations Committee.
Center.
Yeah, so anyone that wants a presentation, I can be there. I've been to almost every, I've been to the Health Advisory Committee, so anyone that wants it, I can absolutely do it.
Should we present it to the community?
Yeah, we will present it to the community.
Should we do an event at the library?
We could,
And
yeah.
Franklin, this is your help assessment.
Yes, we will definitely do one at the community. I figured first we'll make sure the council and everybody has a chance to review it in our committees, and then we'll start doing
Kick it
that.
on the road.
Yeah, yeah.
Do we know when the next Franklin Times comes out?
We just got the draft copy we were looking at.
Yeah, we just got the proof, so.
Do you have
we should be
anything in
doing
there?
it.
No, I was just going to say if that was something we could
Other than the
advertise.
Yeah,
schedule.
not yet.
The schedule's in
Not
there.
yet, because it comes out, I think this, the next one, we'll be able to advertise for that. That one will come out, I think, in early September.
So to advertise for this get-together for the health assessment.
Yes, that will advertise for, yeah. I put it as during the article in the Franklin Times. I put that in there. I put in an article about, what was it?
It wasn't a lot, it was small.
No, I put in 2 articles, but I forget what the other one was now. I'll have to look and see.
I mean, I looked at the schedule,
Yeah.
you know, but otherwise I didn't, there were other things in there, but it
Yeah.
Is there anything on social media?
On what?
Social media.
Social media.
Did we post anything on social media? We did, or I requested that, what was the last thing I requested get posted? Oh, the single tree that I talked about, you weren't at the last meeting. I found this interesting post about the value of posting a single tree, and it had this great graphic of like people under one tree. So, yeah,
Thank you,
That's
Steve.
cool.
but, yeah.
No, May, are we talking about that? Are we making a recommendation?
I think it's that it wasn't practical.
For this time, for next time, so I've
Okay,
just
yeah,
been keeping it there as a placeholder. Yeah, I've just been
Okay.
keeping it,
Right.
but I don't think any additional work has been done, because Stan did a whole study about it, which we have,
Right.
but we haven't worked on the new proposal yet. So we
No,
will.
we just, first thing is that we should not be calling it No More May,
Yeah.
because we are confusing ourselves and audience.
Yeah.
It's not in May. In our climate region, it's a No More Earth Day,
No,
which means
yeah,
do not
yes.
mow until Earth Day.
Right, we'll have to come up with a clever phrase.
Deconvoluted.
I think that further confuses it. I mean, it's an international movement.
But
For everybody to recognize that no more May. You can have it whenever you want
No,
to.
it's not.
I agree with Stan. I think we can come up with some clever phrase that, you know,
Well, you know.
give the pollinators a break and wait till Earth Day.
Yeah.
I've just been keeping it as No Mo May on the old business, 1 as a placeholder so we don't forget, and 2, because I didn't want to say No Mo Earth Day, because I thought that was really confusing. Because then it's like, do I just not mow on Earth Day?
Right, we'll have to come up with a
Just
phrase.
come up with a new name,
I
yeah.
didn't mow on Earth Day.
There you go, so you did it, you took part.
But you mowed even before.
We held that to the 18th, we didn't make it to the...
Yeah, we do have to work on that, though, you know, we should give ourselves a few months lead time up to that.
Yes, yeah, that's why I don't want to wait until next February.
It is really part of the general awareness of proper lawn care, because, you know, if you put chemicals in your lawn and then you want to participate by not mowing, it doesn't make any impact because you don't have any wildflowers that to grow. You just have more grass.
It's all monoculture.
Right, monoculture.
So, having just come back from 25 days in England and Scotland, and we visited a lot of properties, wonderful pieces of property, they are letting stuff grow there routinely, and it's quite beautiful because it's not as hot as here. But in several places, I took photos where they would mow just the edge, just one width of a lawnmower. So it was clear someone was defining an area and making it neat, but everything beyond that, they let go natural.
Yeah.
And it was actually very attractive. So you saw this nice edge, but then you saw this variety of wildflowers and grasses
Right.
take over. So you never felt like, oh, this is a case of benign neglect. No, this is intentional, it's still neat, but clearly the pollinators win.
Yeah.
Maybe we can do that for the trail at Navy Williams Park, because that actually would save us a lot of
Maintenance.
maintenance,
Yes, but
and it would
you know,
look beautiful.
They are not mowing the wetlands. I mean, what do you mean? The trail has to be mowed. That's what you need to have.
Well, the trail, that's where it would be mowed, but what if on either side of it, it was all wildflowers and pollinator plants and
They
things
don't
like
mow
that?
it.
Well, right now they don't mow because it's not there, but the grant we got is to create that trail. So I'm saying, what if we mowed just a trail? It's like what Robin's saying, so a clear strip of mowed land, but then on either side, like,
Yeah, the
things like that.
variety.
Yeah, maybe that's an idea.
Yeah, run that
That could
past your
work.
group.
I will. I think that saves time and maintenance especially.
Yeah, talk about ticks.
And then we would have to
Yeah.
pay the DPW people to work on Saturdays,
Yes.
time and a
yes,
half out of the
no.
Open Space Trust Fund.
Agree.
Okay, so now we're ready to get into the second.
Make a motion to open the public.
Second,
All in favor? Anybody else have any comments? You had one. Go ahead.
Yeah, I did send out that, I got a letter from the environmental group about the gas pumping station.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
So I did send it out to Canal Walk residents, and a couple people did send out letters.
Oh, that was the intervenor letter, sure.
Yeah, so I did that and it went out. My other question is, somebody brought up about you guys are writing a no idling
We prepared a no idling ordinance
ordinance.
for Franklin Township. It's derivative of the state idling ordinance. And I believe we've passed it on to the township attorney. Tara has, and I think you're figuring that it might get looked at in the fall
I
sometime.
hope so, yes, that's the goal.
So what is but there's a no idling ordinance?
Well, what it is there's a state idling state idling ordinance. There's two different ones, subchapter 15 of the Air Code, I believe, and one subchapter is for gasoline-powered vehicles and one is for diesel-powered vehicles. And what we've done is we've referenced that in those in our ordinance and then added to it things such as places that you are not allowed to idle your vehicles, parking lots, playground areas, schools, warehouse areas, for more than 3 minutes you're not allowed to, where they are required to put up signs, where private properties are required to put up signs, the township is going to put up signs on public property. So that's a big part of it, is putting up signs. It's really a lot has to do with educating the public as to no idling and the impact idling has on the population, especially young children, schools, playgrounds, and the elderly who may have breathing problems. So a lot of it has to do with educating the public and putting these signs up all over to make sure that the drivers of mostly the trucks, but buses also, that they're not supposed to be idling their vehicles.
Because we were at a town council meeting in Thornwalker.
I heard what he said.
You heard what he said?
Mhm.
So I don't understand. So if the trucks, what was it, that were made after 2007
Mhm.
can idle all they can, so does the ordinance really help us?
The state regulation, and I'm not exactly sure if he got it right, I don't want to say he got it wrong, but the state ordinance says that they are not allowed to idle in residential areas. Even if they're after 2007, even if they have all these other things, they are not allowed to idle in residential areas. That's what the state ordinance says. And our idling ordinance that we're proposing references the state idling ordinance. Now, I wanted to clarify it, spoke to somebody at the DEP who I used to work with several years ago, and I asked them, well, does that mean, for example, if there's a warehouse over here and there's a residential area here and they are idling on that warehouse property, it's zoned for warehouse, it's zoned for residential, is that considered a zone for residential property? So it's a very fine line. He seemed to believe that if they're idling in the area of that residential property, that they will enforce it, the state would enforce it. I don't know what the county would do, and the county has an idling program where they go out early in the morning to check for idling vehicles in certain places. So I was listening to the same thing. I wanted to hear exactly what he had to say. And he said that they are allowed to idle, but I think it's a little bit more specific of that. I know it's more specific than that because they are not allowed to idle in residential areas.
I forgot to
Even if they're on the street?
It's not considered idling if they're on the street, is my understanding. That's a whole other thing, but those streets that we're talking about are supposed to have signs that say no standing, no parking.
No stopping, no standing, yep.
Right.
And if those signs are there, then they are not allowed to idle.
Well, that then is not considered an idling violation, it's considered some violation of the what do you call it?
Parking ordinance.
The parking ordinance or...
But that's how
whatever
Piscataway did it with all the warehousing they have over there, and the trucks that were idling on the roads, they did it by putting up the no stopping, no
Yes,
standing.
and the police are supposed to enforce that, not under no idling, but under no standing, no stopping, no making a mess.
There were trucks backed up from the Amazon in driveway the other day when we went by. Maybe 2 or 3.
In the driveway or on the road?
Both. Up the driveway and then, but whether it's 3 minutes or not, I don't know, they have to go through a checkpoint to get into the complex.
If they're on the road and they're queuing to go onto the
Right,
property,
somewhere,
they're considered in traffic,
in traffic,
and
yeah.
traffic is not considered idling.
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
No, I think that's the end of it. Close the public.
I have
question.
one
Sure.
quick question. When you were talking about the Odin Pharmaceuticals
Yes.
proposal, is that a manufacturing facility?
It's all 3. It's manufacturing, warehouse, and laboratories, and offices, all 4.
Because they could have the chemical, either odor or leakage issues also of it. And I don't think that was discussed when you were talking about the...
Yeah, it was discussed.
It was mentioned, yeah.
I missed
Yeah,
it.
in fact, you mentioned that they might be making some, they'll have their control devices as part of their manufacturing.
No, because I thought you mentioned that with L'Oreal, but not over.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right, I mentioned it with L'Oreal, you're right.
But
Yes.
The brain still functioning.
I don't think
It
it
was
was discussed
just
with the Odin.
Right.
making another building or extension, right?
It's a small addition,
What is Odin?
2-story.
But what do they do?
They're pharmaceuticals.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it's not fragrances in particular.
Right, I mean, they could have different issues with odors, it's possible.
And they're regulated by the FDA.
Yes, they are.
Pharmas, they don't manufacture in U.S. much. They do R&D and then
Research.
they have it made in India. It's like,
That's what I thought maybe.
but yeah.
Okay.
I'm glad one of us was listening to me.
I looked like I wasn't here.
Okay, then, motion to close the public comment. All in favor? All in favor? Motion to adjourn the meeting?
Move.
All in favor?